Hello and welcome to another segment of Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Jamie Johnson, the government and legal correspondent, and it is spring election season where we have the nonpartisan elections happening on April 5th, and we are interviewing the city council candidates. And my guest here today, Bill Kennedy.
Mike Kennedy.
Mike Kennedy, I'm
Yes.
sorry. All right, just interviewed Bill Olms. And
Yes.
so Bill is running in the district next to yours. In fact, he's your neighbor virtually.
Right now, he's my current alderperson, yeah, and he's a stone's throw away, yeah.
So Mike, you live in what is now District 2, but will be District 4, and you have no opponent. Is that right?
That's correct. It's the District 4 boundaries were just formed with the census, and so it kind of drew a line right down my neighborhood. I saw that opened up, and I thought that was something I should at least stick my nose in and see if that's something I'd
Well, let's get into your background a little bit, because you reminded me when we were off camera that we met again at another community function, if you will, when we were interviewing for a principal that came to Hudson back in previous decade or two.
Right.
It was like 2009, right?
Yeah, we're not getting any younger here, yeah.
Right. So tell us, like, how long have you been in the community, and
Sure.
you know, what you do for a living and your family and so forth?
Sure. Yeah, so I live in Red Cedar Canyon. To rewind a little bit, I was born in St. Paul, went to school there, and went to college up in Collegeville at St. John's University.
Okay.
Graduated in 1990.
So you're a Johnny?
I'm a Johnny, yes.
Okay.
Graduated with a economics degree.
Okay.
And then I think the Monday after I graduated, I started work at a screen printing shop, screen printing T-shirts, and embroidery and things like that. So it's kind of salesman, general manager, kind of a catch-all type thing. And just kind of stuck with that. I went on to kind of grow that into, we did some apparel manufacturing and decoration, and kind of rolled that into a company that I now own, Wild River Marketing, based out of Hudson.
Okay.
But we're now a manufacturer's rep, so we don't physically manufacture anything anymore. Just more of a sales arm.
How long has Wild River been going?
It's been around, I think, for about 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I started it and then went off to go work for a company for a while and came back and lit the furnace again. So
how long have you been in this community as a resident?
yeah, so I first came to Hudson, kind of like our founding fathers by the St. Croix. I was probably 25 after I graduated from college, and my parents had a place up in Marine on St. Croix, so we'd go up there in the summers, and so I got to know Hudson a little bit through that. And then I spent every penny I had, about $2,000 on an old boat that didn't start and leaked and whatever. But I rented a slip in Hudson, and I came from Stillwater to Hudson, and I spent every minute and probably every dollar I had, and just really loved Hudson. You know, I was living in the cities at the time, but I'd come here every weekend, you know, got to know some of the shops, the restaurants, the locals, and just started kind of planning a family and thought, why would I not, you know, live here? This place is great. So I came here again in probably about 1995, and then built a house in 2000, and the same house we live in. I'm married, my wife Sarah Kennedy.
Okay.
And we have
Is that Sarah with an H?
Sarah with an H.
Okay.
Yes, got to get that right.
Yep.
She'll correct you. And then 3 boys. So 2 of them I have graduated. You know, all 3 of them did the EP Rock, Hudson Middle School, and Hudson High School. 2 are graduated. Charlie is the oldest. He's in the Navy out in Virginia. And Sam is a senior at Stout. Fingers crossed that this will be his
Right.
senior year and graduate. I think he will. And then my stepson Chase is a sophomore currently at Hudson High School.
Well, that's great. Well, thank your son for his service, and we do have something common. You have a son at UW Stout.
Okay, yeah.
And I had 2 graduate from UW
Okay.
Stout. So also going up through the ranks of the different schools here in Hudson. And
Right.
So anyway, what does your wife do?
So she works at U.S. Bank. She actually works out of our house, which is great. COVID helped that a lot. And she works with strategy with the bank. So getting a lot of the raw data from different inputs and trying to figure out what the best direction.
So do you
for the
guys
bank
talk
is.
economics at home, or?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I always tell her some good ideas that U.S. Bank could do, and she said, you do your thing. You sell your T-shirts, Mike, and I'll run the bank. So.
Okay, so you're a businessman, family man. So why city council now if you've been in this community this long? And
Right. Good question. So when I was raised, I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and my mom and dad both, by example, always kind of push the idea of giving back when you can, whether it be financially or time. And so, I've really kind of followed that. When the kids were real little, I did the book fair, and I was the guy, selling books there or helping the kids select books. With sports, I was never the greatest athlete, but I was always, hey, we need a coach. Well, I was the guy that raised their hand. Hudson hockey, not only helped around as volunteering with the kids, but when the push came to get the second sheet of ice, I was on a group that helped raise money, and I actually physically did some of the rebar for the new place. So, kind of giving back, and also kind of once you do, as with the volunteer stuff you've done, once you go out there and you're one of the 20% that does raise your hand, says I'll do it, other people come to you and say, hey, you'd be good help here or there.
Right.
I got involved in the St. Croix River Association many years ago.
Okay.
Which is an interesting group, and so you expand your own horizons, trying to do good for what your focus is, and you kind of affect other people. So that was kind of the main push of wanting to get involved. A few years ago, I was asked to be on the park board, and I really enjoy that very much. I think that was about 3 years ago, let's say. And really kind of that was kind of the next level of volunteering and kind of really seeing how the city works. It's not just talking for a half hour, an hour once a month. That's kind of what you see. But it's the behind the scenes, working with the different city employees, seeing what we can accomplish, and
Right.
seeing that, there's a chunk of money and 19 different people want that same chunk of money. So it was interesting, to kind of dip my toe in there and kind of see how the city works. And then with this new district being formed, I saw an opening where my career is right now. I have a lot more time to give, and I thought, well, this would be a neat opportunity. And to be quite honest, I think I have some skills that I've kind of earned over the last couple of years of being on different boards, and some are for-profit, or some are not for-profit.
So some of that gray hair is earned, huh?
Every one of them, every last one of them. So that's kind of, again, the old throwaway line of giving back, but it really, not only did I want to give back, but I felt like this city has given so much, to me from, even just driving down here tonight. I went through some great old historic neighborhoods to get here. I also went some brand new one. I had to stop for a dump truck for some new construction going on. And so I got so much back from this community and my children, and again, I'm gray-haired, but not ready to retire yet. But this is where I want to retire,
Right.
and so I think this is my time to kind of give back and kind of help make sure we're on track to kind of stay the course and have Hudson around for many other generations to come.
Well, yeah, we seem to have a lot in common in that we've both made, Hudson is kind of our lifelong home now. So.
Yeah, right.
And we'll have to have a beer afterwards or something.
I'm up for that, yeah.
Okay. So we got the, so you want to run, and you're going to be the new guy on the block. So what is it that you would like to see accomplished in your first term? What's going to be your priority for Mike Kennedy?
Okay. I think, and I know that we have, I'm running unopposed, as you mentioned, and Bill also. But we may have some new blood, both in the mayoral seat and also Paul DeZiel's seat. But right now, I think what
You're more the sure thing as far as being the new blood.
I'm kind of the new.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those who have been involved or paid attention to what's going on, whether through the Facebook or watching it online, I think what I can accomplish, or what I'd actually like to set out to accomplish, is kind of bring it back a little bit and remind ourselves that this is, I'll just say, little old Hudson. We have streets to repair. We have the communication between the school and the homeowners and the tax base and all that. But the temperature kind of got a little hot. And in my background of sales, you mentioned going out for a beer. I've gotten more done when there's tough things to discuss, or bad, good or bad decisions need to be made. It is better over a cup of coffee or a beer than hiding behind a keyboard, or a sternly written email that's sent, and so
I've never gotten one of those while I'm in the school board. Yeah,
I'll send you some. So I really think that approach, we can kind of use this election as kind of a, turn the page. It's 2022. I hope to see us as this COVID thing is in our rearview mirror. Obviously, that's still out there, but hopefully more in the past than in front of us. And then I've been in tune with what's going on. Politics locally has always interested me. And so, again, with COVID, it's nice it's all televised. But as far as what to accomplish, I know right here and now we have a lot of things on the table. We're talking about the roads, the 11th Street Bridge.
Let's talk about that infrastructure because, they did a study and it's something that comes with a big price tag. I can't remember which side of 50 million it's on, but it's a big number.
Right.
And but yet, does it really all need to be done right now? Where would you see the priorities? And how would you like to see it funded? I mean, there's very limited amount that could be put just on the property tax. So.
Right, exactly. Well, again, being the new guy, I have the benefit of saying, I've only seen this from the outside, not as an insider. But knowing that, again, the concern is out there that there are utilities, the downtown, the old sewer pipes that have to be addressed. Kicking the can down the road doesn't seem like something that we can continue to do.
Can be expensive with the cost of things going up as fast as it is.
Exactly. So there's that balance again, and I'll probably use that word a lot. That the idea of let's do something now just because the money, the expense might be a lot higher in the future. I think that's always going to be out there, but that does matter. And the idea of being a very conservative and lean and mean city is great. I mean, that's how I run my personal checkbook.
Right.
I'd like to help run a city that keeps their eye on it like that. But we've all seen, again, owning a car or a house, you put it off too long, and you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Mm-hmm. It does come up and bite you. So, there's pieces of that. I went last week, there was a great presentation about the 11th Street Bridge. The good news is it's not about to fall down. It's not truly a structural thing, but both traffic, but also on foot and bicycle. Every year you see more bikers and more walkers. And I ride my bike around town, and that is a scary intersection.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to see, just to kind of listen to see who comes to those meetings, and it's actually not a lot of people.
No.
And also what they have to say. And so again, right now we have, for that example, we have three options. They're all expensive, and how do you pay for them? I know that's always going to be the thing, not what it looks like exactly, or what color the bridge is, but how are we going to pay for it? So, those are some things I'm going to have to face.
Do you think like a wheel tax is something that, thinking a little bit outside the box rather than just sticking it to the property taxpayers all the time?
Right. Again, just from my research of that, again, from the outside, I personally, that's not my first go-to, and not specifically that, but just the concept of a new tax. As the old saying goes, once you get that new tax, it never goes away.
Yeah.
So now we have another, tap in the line to draw more taxes out there. I'd be interested to see, other angles of what that wheel tax looks like. I'm very open to that as far as hearing it. And then at the end of the day, I think you have to make a common sense decision. And or look for other ways that maybe we can adjust. If we have to work on, you mentioned 50 million. If that number has to be found, let's get creative in that. But let's make sure that we're paying for that, but not continuing just opening up another line of taxes.
Okay. Now you mentioned about we're still good old little Hudson, but what I've heard as a person who's not a city resident, but we're very, very close to the city limit, and that is that we've been able to increase the tax base by opening up some of these housing developments,
Yep.
opening up some commercial development. We see Hudson Physicians,
Yep.
on the east side of Carmichael. We see the bank at Vine and Carmichael, and
Yep.
apparently there's going to be a quick trip in there and so forth.
I think they broke ground just the last day or two, yeah.
Okay. So, but what I hear is that's going to be, the available area is going away.
Right.
And so, would you be open to annexation, where it made sense? I mean, Hudson can't grow to the north and it can't grow to
Right.
the west, so it's got to go south and east. But, where, and there's certainly the demand.
Yeah.
City of River Falls has not been shy about moving its borders.
Right.
And the reality is Hudson has moved it. It's about doubled in area size in the time that I've been in town here, about 32 years. So, looking ahead, for you've been here 26 years or so. So, do you see the next 26 years as expanding that footprint somewhat, and where it's prudent, and what would be your criteria?
Yeah, that's a good question. And again, we are somewhat landlocked. I'm actually the benefit of someone 25 years ago saying, let's annex some land here for Red Cedar Canyon, where I live. Right. And my neighboring neighborhood, same thing. So, you sometimes do hear that, especially when you're a newcomer, 25 years, newcomer, say, hey, I like my house, I like the quietness, well, let's stop building. Well, that might work for an individual, but I think for the city and overlooking that, I think you have to be open to growth. And like you said, it come in a couple different ways: annexing more land that's out there, and repurposing land that exists. I know that the Planning Commission was talking about some development downtown, getting rid of some of the buildings and building an apartment building down there, which I'm sure will be, there'll be lots of discussion about that. Mm-hmm. And again, there's going to be both sides, so there's that balance again. Some interesting thing about that specific building is they want to bring in some solar. There'll be electric places to park, plug in your electric car, LED lights, and energy saving things like that. So you can never get 100% perfectness. You can't say, and the flip side, you can't throw those kind of developers out of here. Right. They have to make money, and it has to benefit the city. So I'd look at each one of those options that come our way.
Well, and that's been a challenge for our downtown because of how the hill, so to speak,
Yeah.
the commercial areas and the fringe roads on either side of the interstate, developed so much that people kind of forgot about downtown Hudson.
Yeah.
And now it's being revitalized. So it sounds like, given how you came to know Hudson and everything was through the river, that you'd be in favor of opening up the river access and some of the agenda items that our mayor has had, as far as raising the seawall and being able to allow it to be used more months out of the year, so it won't get flooded, and maybe the boardwalk. So are you open to those things?
I am. I've been exposed to that through the park board. I think that the river and also the land down there, the park down there, it's a jewel. And you can use whatever word you want, but everyone that says you're from Hudson, oh, I love that place, and they always talk about they walked on the dike, or they sat at the river, they brought a boat up. So, I do think that is something that, deserves investment and deserves us to look at. Obviously, we have to be fiscally conservative about how we do it with our own money. When I say our own money, there's federal money out there. That's still our money. Yet, if that's available, I think we have to do our job to find out what the best way is to build that. But I guess some of the plans I've seen seem grandiose to some people, and other people say we don't use that enough because it's just some land next to the river. So I think it's got some fine tuning to do. But I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because that's my favorite part of the city. So,
and anytime you talk about development of the downtown, and then the next question is always, what about the parking?
Right.
Because people, they want to be able to park right next to wherever they're going to eat or drink or do whatever activity they're doing downtown. The reality is you can't do that because we're not going up. And so you have to be willing to walk some, but we've got this balance on the meters. Are there how satisfied are you with some of the changes that have happened with the parking and what might be projected?
Yeah, I think in the last handful of years when we've created more spaces, down by the river, and then using the meters as sort of a way to kind of control some of that. It's a real issue. I know that we've talked about 10 years ago parking ramps and you get the calculator out and you do the math. And now we're talking about rideshare. We're talking about electric cars. We're talking about possibly public transportation. And there's no way to rush through that and guess. I know what it's going to be like in 5 or 10 years.
Right.
I know that we have some land, the old fire station, that parking we're going to be able to add to some of that. But I'm with you. You asked me my own opinion. I was talking to someone not too long ago about, I saw them at a Wild game and we were chatting and they said, we have an issue with parking. I drove around the block 2-3 times before I found a spot. And I said, in Hudson, he was speaking about, I said, well, yeah, but at the Wild, we both walked about a half a mile just to get there. So I think you're right. It is a perception thing. But it is something that we have to address. I don't know of any growing city that is bordered by a river or a freeway or what have you. We are limited, and I think that there could be some more creative ways to look at it, and not necessarily the city pays for a ramp or things like that. I think there could be a third party.
We're getting close to our end of our half hour, but I'd be remiss because one of the issues that have been for the time that you've been in town and off and on top of the mind subject is both the library and the police. So what do you see with the police department and our library as far as whether it's funding or whether it's location and so forth?
Right. Well, I'm a big backer of the library. Again, having kids down here, I can remember back when this was the library.
Yeah.
So we've come leaps and bounds, and with that came a bigger price tag. Again, being on the outside, I've seen our city council and our mayor, work with the area libraries that are involved to try to get the funding that's necessary, and also make it fair. Again, I'll admit, not being currently on the council, I don't know all the numbers and all that. However, I think it's a great asset, not just the idea that it's a beautiful building and the services it offers the community, but just the idea of Hudson. I want to live in a city that has a library. I mean, it's old school maybe,
right.
but I love that. As far as the police station, I know there's some talk about the possibility of opening up at the county building, and maybe that would make some sense. Again, I don't have a lot of research into that. It does sound like that they're looking for space. They need more space. But again, I think of like the new fire department, new fire hall, made so much sense because back in the 50s where all the action was downtown and the police department was right there. Well, that's not the case anymore. We have more of the schools up on top of the hill. We have more housing, more commercial. So quite possibly that's a solution. But I'd have to obviously do some more research into it. Again, it's got to make sense for the community, and what that means to me is it has to make financial sense. And not just find a way to pay for it today, but an ongoing 20-40 year plan for that.
Very good. Well, Mike, I think we've run out of time and it's time to hit the bar.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyway, no, really thank you for running and for wanting to get involved. We need people to be able to do that, and you'll have a new district, but not moving neighborhoods to get there. So.
Right.
Anyway, it was good getting to know you again.
Thanks for your time. Yeah, nice to meet
thanks
you.
for coming on. And I just want to remind our viewers, please remember to vote on April 5th. And if folks have questions, by the way, Mike, how can they reach you?
So I do have a website. It's Kennedy4Hudson.com, the number 4.
Number 4, got
District 4, number 4. Kennedy4Hudson.com, and so you can email me there. I'm also doing lots of door knocking and leaving behind some info, and I've actually given my cell number out on that. So if you need to get a hold of me, that's a good way to do it too.
Very good. Kennedy for Hudson. We'll remember that. And again, thanks for coming on the show, and thank you for watching another segment of Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Jamie Johnson. Keep watching.